Welcome back to Beauty in the Ashes. My name is Jennifer, and in video one, I share with you how my husband and I had moved to California, and sometime after, I found out he was having an affair. But I want to take you back a little bit before everything was exposed and before everything fell apart, and how God was setting me up at that moment. I was in school. I was going to school for nursing. I wasn't in the job market, and you'll soon find out why that was significant. I had no idea I was in need of a lifeline, and God had already provided it for me. One day I received a call from a temp agency, and they said they found my resume online and asked if I would be interested in a 4-month position. For context, I was not in the job market. I repeat, I was not looking for a job. It's not even on my mind. Okay. We had been in California for roughly about 8 months. There was no resume. And furthermore, before we left North Carolina, I worked for IBM and I was laid off for over a year. So I was not searching for a job, not on my radar at all. So I reached out to my husband. I thought it was strange, but I just kind of went with it. And so he said whatever I wanted to do, and so I said yes. I did not know it then, but God was already ordering my steps. Before a single prayer was prayed, before any commitment to him was made, he was already making provision for me, and I had no idea. So after I started that job, maybe about a year later, everything collapsed. And after my husband left, I sort of kicked into a survival mode, deep depression, waking up every day, doing what I have to do to survive, trying to push through, trying to continue school because now I feel like I really need school. I need my nursing degree. Um, but mostly, if I stopped, I would have to feel what just happened to me, and I did not know how to process that. It was too overwhelming. It was like something in me just shut down and stopped functioning, and I just had to suppress the anger and the rage and my emotions that were all out of control and keep going. So in doing all of the avoiding and stuffing, depression set in. My mind was continually on repeat. What did I do wrong? Why wasn't I enough? How did I end up here? Never about him, but what was wrong with me? Okay. Suicidal thoughts followed. I was drinking. Wanted to drown the pain. And to be clear, I really did not want to myself. I just did not want to feel the pain anymore. It wasn't just like a normal heartbreak. It was like, I'm unlovable. No one loves me. I'm not worthy to be loved. No one's committed to me in my life. I felt so deeply rejected, and those thoughts caused me to reach for anything that might make the pain stop. I went through a period where I just wanted my husband to come back home so badly. I was willing to abandon all of my feelings, all of my thoughts, any self dignity to make that happen. And I realized later that I really didn't have self worth. My self worth was wounded. It always had been. And what I discovered on this journey of healing is lack of self worth will land you in relationships you would never entertain. Wounded self worth is when love feels conditional. You tolerate behavior that hurts you because being alone feels so much worse. And that's how I was most of my life. But what surprised me most was how familiar the rejection felt and how it kept resurfacing throughout my life. And so I started looking back and I noticed at childbirth is when this started. When I was born, my father left and he chose not to be a part of my life. That landed seeds of abandonment and rejection in my heart. And in his absence, he taught me something very powerful without ever saying a word to me because I don't know him. Don't trust people. They don't stay because you're not worthy for them to stay. You're not lovable. He taught me love is conditional. And if you want to have love, you have to earn it. You have to perform for it. And so I learned to live a life constantly bracing for loss, abandonment, disappointment, self-preservation, um, lack of trust. Ultimately, you're not worthy to be loved, Jennifer. Nobody will ever love you. So when my husband left, it did not just break my heart, it exposed a deep rooted lie that I had been living out my entire life. And at that point, God was ready to expose the lie and bring in truth. But here's what I could not see at that time is that job, yes, the one I never applied for, the one that made no sense, that I just took kind of confusingly, it did more than just pay my bills and provide me a little stability. It placed me in the exact environment where I would eventually be introduced to Jesus. Not in a church, but through one of my coworkers began witnessing to me and inviting me to her church. And I thought to myself, before I was ever looking for answers or able to deal with the pain, he was already, before he even left, God was already making provision for me. He was already making a way for me. I didn't know it then, but the job I was given, this gift from God, before the affair was ever exposed, I keep reiterating that. I had the job before I found out he was having an affair. That became the doorway to finding Jesus and changing my life completely. God had been quietly setting me up all along. And when I had nothing and when I was down and depressed and thought I wouldn't be able to survive going through a divorce, God began placing people in my pathway. Like I mentioned at work, my coworker, also at school. This lady started inviting me to her church, pointing me to Jesus. So I had two people, one at work and one at school. And of course, I rejected it because I wasn't looking for religion. I had only been around people that professed Christianity, but there was no fruit. They didn't live the lifestyle. But what I didn't realize was Jesus wasn't offering me religion. He was offering me himself, an intimate relationship with my creator. In the next video, I want to share how everything shifted for me, how I took a chance and I stepped out even when I didn't understand. And one decision changed my entire life. If you don't remember anything I have said in this video, I want you to remember this. God sees you. He loves you. He knows right where you are. And he is not finished writing your story. Stay tuned for more. Bye-bye.